Aloha and welcome to a conversation on the city's new Outreach Navigation Program. We're really fortunate to have with us two experts in the field, those who will be directing this new program, which just was announced a few months ago, and this is 2019. The guests that we have today are Connie Mitchell, the Executive Director of the Institute for Human Services. She also is an advanced practice registered nurse with a psychiatric specialization. Also with us today is Dr. Chad Koyanagi, who is a board-certified adult psychiatrist. He also is certified in addiction psychiatry, and shortly he'll be starting a new position as the medical director of behavioral health in the Adventist Health Castle Hospital System. Thank you so much for being here today. IHS was awarded this contract, and today what we want to do is really kind of dive into what this program is all about. So Connie, why don't we begin with you? Why don't you tell us what is the purpose of this program?
Well, I believe the city really noticed that there were a lot of people who were not responding to the regular kind of outreach, and I think a lot of the people that see them tend to have concerns about them. You get calls, I get calls, about a lot of them, and many of them are chronically homeless, suffering from mental illness or substance abuse, addictions, and really need some extra help to get off the street.
So Chad, tell us about how many people would make up the pool of possible candidates, clients in need of this special kind of assistance?
Oh boy. So of course our homeless epidemic is enormous, and this program aims to target some of the most vulnerable people in our community. Of course, we can't handle all of that at once, so we're going to, of course, prioritize the most vulnerable people who are have various health and psychiatric issues, chronically homeless folks, and we're going to try to using this the tools afforded to us by this new grant and the new ACT law. We're going to target a few at a time and get some head of steam and get some partnerships working and get some momentum with the courts, and then eventually move towards 40, 50, maybe in a year.
Right. So, because I think right now with the point in time count, we have just under 4,400 total homeless. Maybe about 1/4 have some kind of mental health issue, and then you add to that another 1/4 that have substance use disorder, and of course some of them are the same population. So what you're really doing is you're really narrowing down, trying to assist the most acutely ill in this limited area, the greater Honolulu area.
I think the point in time count asks the question about whether people are experiencing mental health issues that are impacting their lives. And for those that can answer that question,
right.
That's not exactly the guys that we're looking at.
Right.
But I think that we're really, as Dr. Koyanagi has mentioned, really focusing on those people that have lost the capacity to make decisions. It's really about them not knowing that they have wounds that need care, that they should be getting treatment for, or not realizing that they have a mental illness. I mean, by virtue of having a serious mental illness, that really robs you of the ability to know that you have an illness.
Right.
Somebody has to make that decision for a lot of folks, and so I think that's the population that Dr. Koyanagi is talking about.
And this is the population, I think, that not only has negative impacts on themselves, obviously, but also negative impacts on the larger community. So why don't you walk us through the process, how you engage clients and what kind of interventions? I know you have a progressive engagement approach. Right. What does that look like?
So we have, like I said, we have outreach workers who are assigned to most parts of greater Honolulu, and these folks go out several times a week, and they really pay attention to the ones who are most impaired, most vulnerable, most lacking of insight. And so the process of engaging with someone like that is very time consuming, and probably if we're talking about the people that most need our help, those are the people that most likely will tell us to go away, get the hell out of our face, and those people takes the skill and compassion of these amazing outreach workers to visit time and time again, and offering from basic simple necessities to access to medical care. Most of those people will refuse most of these things for a long period of time, and then as time goes by, we kind of observe their behaviors, their physical health. We become informed. Sometimes these people get arrested or go to the hospitals on MH1s for psychiatric evaluation. So we keep kind of a running kind of story of how they're doing, and then based on their needs and their resistance to the help that's being offered to them, we prioritize those folks who are most likely to need something more than just typical outreach or a single hospitalization or a single offer to go to a psychiatric clinic. These folks need sometimes a hospitalization. They need a legal guardian to make decisions for them. They need someone to help them with insurance and legal matters, and sometimes they need the help of law enforcement to help our staff to be better able to access resources for them.
So when you identify these clients that really cannot help themselves and are actually really hurtful to themselves, what's the next step?
The next step is really trying to find any family members, because in order for us to actually do a guardianship or an assisted community treatment petition, we have to demonstrate that we have reached out to their family members, and that their family members are willing or not willing perhaps to be guardian, and make decisions for them. So that can be sometimes a little bit challenging, because folks who have been homeless for a long time have often had experiences where they've kind of just their relationships with family just are not there anymore, and so it's a challenge. But I think for the most part, we use every method to find their families and to find out whether they're willing to help. If they aren't, then the next step is to really, as Dr. Koyanagi was saying, gather a lot of information, treatment information, maybe arrest information about what kind of effects have occurred because they haven't been able to make those decisions for themselves. We get a lot of complaints, from the general public, but that's not really enough. We really see this process as being a way to help decriminalize, what's happening to folks, who are in this position, because many times they are arrested, for small kind of charges, and they end up, being incarcerated for a brief amount of time, but nevertheless, incarcerated, and we really want to avoid that.
Sure. And then once you determine then that you maybe don't have access to a family member, so the guardianship route won't work, and they are in great need, you start looking at the possibility of using assisted community treatment law.
That's correct. So we have to gather enough information, to present to the court and to convince a judge, that this person really would benefit from being treated against their will, essentially, over their objections. And I think that we've run across a lot of pushback, quite frankly, from people who really are concerned about people's civil liberties, which I totally agree, you really need to be concerned about. But this law really has embedded in it a lot of due diligence around, protecting a person's rights. So they do get representation, by the public defender's office, and, they are, served just like anybody else, who needs to come to court. So that whole process is one that really is engaging the person in a legal process. If they were able to make their own decisions, would be able to participate, but many times they aren't.
We're so grateful for the work that you do, both of you, Dr. Chad Koyanagi and Connie Mitchell. You've been putting so many years into this, but also you've helped to inspire others to assist those who are most vulnerable on our streets. So thank you very much for making time to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for joining us for this short video explaining the city's new 2019 Outreach Navigation Program. So for more information about this program and other city programs that help to assist those who are most vulnerable, the homeless on our streets, please see our city and county website, www.honolulu.gov/housing, and you can also go ahead and give a call at 768-4675. Again, we want to thank you for being with us, and thank you very much, Dr. Koyanagi and Connie Mitchell. Aloha.